Hi, it's Chris with Implied Music. The past couple of weeks, we've been talking about dissonance, and we talked about preparing and resolving dissonances, about evolving dissonances, how that can be a great way to sort of propel chord progressions and send your arrangements kind of to the next level. It's a terrific technique. One of the simplest dissonances to manage is the suspension. You've all probably seen sus chords, and you may be using them already in your playing. Guitar sus chords, super easy. There are a couple of ways to suspend chords. They almost always involve replacing the third. We've got sus4, we've got sus2. I've got 6 examples, plus we'll do a little review of the idea. Let's get started. I know the modern expression sus means suspicious, but I'm going to say it a lot in this video, and I always mean suspended. And I want to show you what I mean about that. So in any triad, you've got a root, a third, and a fifth. And that third can be suspended. And the easiest way to do it is to just raise it up to the 4th degree. That 4th degree has a tendency. Do you hear what I hear? It wants to go back to the 3rd. And there's a dissonance here between the F and the G. It's a mild dissonance at a major second, and it wants to resolve to the 3rd. And it's a terrific sound. Now, it's also possible to have a suspension from 2 going up to 3. So my chord progression there was sus to C, sus to B flat, a sus to F, and then a 2 suspension back up to the 3rd of C. This is a terrific sound, and it's something that appears in gospel and pop music all the time. There are lots of ways to use suspended chords. There are some conventional things, idiomatic things. One of my favorites is to take the root of the chord and just play a major triad a whole step below. This is C sus9. My computer correctly identifies it. It's a kind of an upper structure chord, a major triad with a slightly different bottom, so to speak, and a beautiful sound. Suspended chords very often appear as stacks of fourths, as quartal chords. This is, by a couple of stretches, 2 different suspended chords. I'll show you what I mean. It's certainly G sus 7. It's also C sus 4. Interesting, right? Quartal chords appear in jazz all the time, and they have I guess I'll just say, ambiguous quality. They could go any number of directions. One last thing to talk about before we go forward into the examples is how suspensions sound different depending on the inversion of the triad. So here's my C chord in root position. And first inversion, that is with the 3rd on the bottom. Second inversion, now the 3rd's on the top, the root's in the middle, and then we continue on. Now, this suspension has a solid sound. And if I go up to the first inversion, this suspension's going to feel different. And then let's continue up to this one. And they're all a little different in kind of a beautiful way. You hear what happens as the top note changes. The other thing I'll say is there are uses for suspensions as very quick, temporary embellishments. And you hear it in country music all the time. The Floyd riff is a 2 suspension up to the major 3rd. And it could be voiced this way. Right? It's a nice sound. You can use suspensions on minor chords as well. effective. Well, I've got 6 examples, so I'm going to roll back to the beginning and we'll take a look at them, pick them apart a little bit. I've tried to use some idiomatic expressions of the sus2 and sus4, and also some creative and maybe new to your ears versions as well. My first example is a simple sus4 to 1 C chord example, but the progression keeps moving, and we've put a little melody on the top to sort of organize it. And I think this is a great example of how we can be propulsive with suspensions. So there's the sus to C major, and hear how it works. We wound up on A major, and that series of chords was, it's sort of migrating around, wasn't it? It's kind of an example of what we called evolving dissonance, and the progression gives us something kind of special, doesn't it? Let's continue on. We're back to C. That's an F chord, a sus to F, an inverted version of it, and then to G, and then to A. And of course, the A in this case sort of has a chromatic median feeling. It's a beautiful sound. It would make a sort of a great backing track for a vocal, or I don't know, maybe even just sort of an underscore sort of effect. Let's go to our next example. The next example uses A major sort of center. We've got a sus4 and a sus2 dancing around that major third, and then a kind of a interlocking hands instrumental form to give us a kind of a percolating sound here. So here's the A major sound, and the sus4 and the sus2. Now that's a little arpeggio pattern that's elegant. And we're going to add an interlocked pattern to that to get what I call a modally saturated sound. It's a lot of notes from the A major scale. And then, minor, right? That's a beautiful sound. I love that. And it really relies a lot on the interaction of the rhythmic and melodic patterns, but without the suspensions, without those easy, sort of gentle dissonances, kind of pushing away and then coming back, it wouldn't nearly, I think, have the same elegance. Let's go to the next example. Well, this one is a great use of that major triad a whole step below the root to create the sus4 sound. And this is a real pop rock sound. Well, pop rock for someone like me, that is to say, it feels like something from the 70s. I think still useful though. So there's the D sus, and here's the C triad over the top of the D. Resolves, of course, to G, like a 5 chord. In a way, this is a real old-fashioned pop instrumental form, isn't it? I love that E-flat, D sus, G sound. Or it sounds kind of like E-flat, F, G, if you listen closely. Here especially, with the D in the bass. Let's go on. But before we do, I just want to say this. If you've been getting something out of the channel, and I hope you have, this is maybe the second or third video of mine you've seen, and it's useful for you and you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button now. Like the video, leave a comment. We're creating a community of composers, songwriters, producers who are interested in music theory. And I guess this really is music theory. I'm not here to teach you how to play a song, specific song. I'm talking about the kind of bare bones of what makes chord progressions and harmonies work, of how voices and chords flow one to the other. But I don't want to do it in an academic way. I'm not interested in notation so much. I'm interested in what works, what you can use now. Maybe what you're doing already, but don't even have a name for, right? I hope this is music theory for everyone. Let's move on to the next example. Well, I just love this sound. It's another arpeggio pattern. And here the A flat major chord starts off with an arpeggio that uses the second instead of the third, and then it resolves up. But it pushes around into a new set of chords in an interesting way. Here, you'll see what I mean. This is an A flat major 7, major 9. And winds up on F. A little melody pulls it all together in a great way. And the A flat minor sound, very dark and beautiful. And then just a kind of a resolution back to where we started. Again, that's just so kind of beautifully propulsive. It relies on the instrumental form to move us forward. But those gentle dissonances, and sometimes we have as many as sort of 6 notes from the mode of whatever sort of moment chord we're in. Those gentle dissonances pushing away from the third and then falling back in give us a sense of ease, of expected resolution. And most of the time with these examples, I'm delivering, I guess I would just say, kind of what my ear expects. I'm trying to satisfy the tendency of each of those motions. Chord tones are either really stable or they're a little unsettled and they want to go someplace. Sometimes that gives a melodic feeling. Sometimes it just gives energy to the chord. And when you have a series of chords, that energy can be transferred, handed off to the next chord, right? This is the essence of evolving dissonance. And in some ways, it's at the root of tonic-dominant relationships. I'm just trying to do the same thing without relying on tonic-dominant relationships. That's my particular interest. It might not be yours, but this same thing will work for, 5 chords going to 1 chord just as powerfully. Now, I've got 2 more examples, so let's move forward. Well, here's that classic Floyd riff, 2 up to 3. And of course, it's like a Plagal cadence, a Plagal embellishment. And again, this is a sound I just love, a very sort of 70s sound. You hear how the triads over the pedal tone bass just keep us moving. It's about 1, 4, and 5, about the flat 7. For me, just super fun to play too. I just love that sort of hiccupy triplet vibe. All right, one last example. Here we go. I'm back to a really simple sus4 1 C chord. And again, a kind of a chord progression that relies on the handing off of one suspended chord to the next. And we get kind of a lovely effect, a kind of a chord progression that doesn't rely on the circle of fifths or the tonic-dominant relationships, but rather the suspension. So there's our C chord, the suspended tone on the bottom. and then we're resolving to B. It's a big surprise. I don't know which is my favorite of this. I love number 4. I love number 6. Simple suspensions to triads are the gentlest, easiest dissonances to work with. They have melodic tones kind of built in. They have tendencies. The suspension wants to go back to the third. And that energy, that melodic energy, you could think of it as a harmonic energy as well, I suppose, is your friend. You can use it as a tool. It's a very powerful way to approach preparing and resolving dissonances just as you get started doing this kind of thing. Well, I hope this has been useful. Like and subscribe, ding the bell. You'll be notified when I do my videos, and I'll see you next time.